welcome to day 10 of my 12 days of DIY gift ideas. I'm Anna and I'm really glad you're here. Today's gift idea you can use with so many types of gifts. It is a gift bag, but don't turn this off because it is probably the most adorable gift bag you've ever seen. It looks like a tote bag and I think you're going to love it. So let's take a look. So here you can see these really adorable gift tote bags. I received one of these as a gift a few years ago and I tried to find a tutorial for it and I wasn't able to. So I ended up reinventing a pattern and changing it a little bit for today's project. What I love about these is you can put all sorts of gifts in them. I made up quite a few of these for a craft fair and I made up little gift sets for girls that had a little notebook, stickers, a marker, a little cute hand sanitizer, and one of the little, the ones that look like unicorns or llamas, things like that. I made up some that were faith-based with some notebooks with scriptures on them and like spiritual magnets and things like that. I also made up some pampering ones with face masks and foot cream, I don't know, lip balm. What was in those? Some nice soap, some different things like that. So you can use these for all sorts of things, for any kind of theme, any kind of person, you can tailor it to them. Let's go ahead and get started with our project. So here's what we are going to need. We need some cardstock. We need a piece that measures 5 inches by 8 inches, a piece that measures 1 by 9, and a piece that measures 1 by 11. You can get these out of one piece of cardstock if you cut your 1 inch by 11 and 1 inch by 9 inch pieces first. So you can get those out of one piece of cardstock. You can get this out of one piece of designer paper. Now, if you're hoarding designer paper at home, anybody, are you raising your hands? This is an awesome way to use it up. You can use up one sheet for each bag that you make, and these do come together pretty quickly. So you need a piece that measures you need 2 pieces that measure 1 inches by 12 inches. Cut those first. And then you need a piece that measures 4.5 by 11 and a piece that measures 4.5 by 9. Let's go ahead and do our scoring first. Now for the scoring, we need this piece of cardstock and we need these pieces of designer paper, the long, narrow strips. The designer paper I'm using today comes from the Pattern Party designer paper pack. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. These are just a bunch of the odds and ends from projects I've done. I will talk about this paper pack here in a little bit. First, let's score these long, narrow strips. Now, these are going to be the handles for our project. And we want to score them in half. Now, you don't want to score all the way to the end because these are not going to fold all the way to the end. So you have to kind of feel around here somewhere. You may want to start at maybe the 1.5 inch mark and feel around till you get in the groove in the center and then score down this way until you get to about 1.5 inches from the end. Now, where you start and where you stop isn't terribly important, but you do not need to score all the way to the ends. So that is a score line basically at the 1/2 inch mark. Now on this piece, the 5 by 8 piece of cardstock, you want to score 1 inch from every edge. Now you can do the math and figure out the measurements if you want to score here and here, or you can just turn it each time and keep scoring at the 1 inch mark. Let's prepare these 2 pieces and then we will get to the rest and put the rest of the tote bag together. So on these, you're going to want to fold them so that the paper that you want to see, the print you want to see, is on the outside. Now when you're folding, again, don't fold all the way to the ends because these pieces are going to be left open. So give that a nice fold. Give this a nice fold. If you want, you can use your bone folder to really help that lay nice and flat. We will use the bone folder here in a second to help these curve the direction we want them to. Now, once they're folded like this, we want to put some adhesive inside. You can use what you want. I like to use glue in here. And I'll mention this now with this project, since I didn't have a tutorial to go from, and I was just trying to figure out how to do it. Adhesives were one of my biggest questions. Like, what is the best way to adhere this to this and get it to stay? So you may find that you like to put adhesives on in another way, but I'll just show you what I found worked well for me. Okay, so I want to hold these down a little bit till that glue starts to hold. Then what I want to do is curve these. So I'm going to take my bone folder and run it along the inside from about here to about here and just help that curve. This really helps a lot. I did not do this on my first one, and what I found was that I ended up with kinks and folds in it instead of one nice big curve. Okay, so those are my handles already prepared. With this piece here, we are going to snip a couple of the edges, and then we are going to fold this into the base for the tote bag. So I am going to snip to make a flap on each corner. And you can loosen up these score lines. You can either do this before or after you cut. And then we are going to place some adhesive on each of those corner flaps. Now, normally, if I was making a box that you would see, I would put these flaps on the inside, but since we're not going to see any of this, not too concerned about it. It's a little bit easier to fold it up this way. And this will be the base for a tote bag. Next, we will add the designer paper pieces on. This is the print I want to be on the outside of the bag, and keep in mind you will see the print on the inside of the bag too when you look down into it. So you want to pick a print that you like both sides. Now, if it's directional, make sure you pay attention to which side is up and down when you put your adhesive on, because the adhesive needs to go on the side that will be the bottom. For mine, it does not matter. So we'll say that this side over here will be the bottom. Now, what I found worked really well for me was to use some nice strong adhesive at each end. I'm using my seal. And then to use some glue in the middle because it gives me some wiggle room. So I did 2 thin strips of glue. Now you want to keep these within 1 inch of the bottom because you have 1 inch to work with to attach to this piece. And then I was making several of these, so when I'm doing a lot, I like to do as much of my adhesive work at one time as I can because it saves time. So I was preparing this one at the same time. Now when you do this, you have to make sure they don't bump into each other, or then you have glue from one piece all over the other piece. So on this one, on the shorter piece, I rolled Seal Plus, my strong adhesive, all along this edge, and then put 2 strips of glue down the side again, or at the bottom. Okay, so we want our long piece first. I'm going to sit this box up on edge. Now the open side is on the right. The bottom of the tote bag will be on the left. I'm going to flip this over so my glue is on the left side. And I'm going to center it. I'll show you here this way so you can see everything. I'm going to center it with the box before I actually lay it down and start to press it down onto it. And I like to do, the reason I put the glue here in the center is because that gives me wiggle room. See down here at the bottom, I need to adjust a little bit, get that covered up so that it's nice and level with the base of the purse or the tote bag. Once I have this where I want it, I am going to fold this corner up here and wrap this piece around the side. And then when I get up here, I have that one little bit of Seal Plus I can press down. It's going to hold in place nice and quickly. And then I'll do the same thing over here on this end, wrap this around, get that pressed down in place, and it's going to hold for me. Okay, so right now it looks about like this. Doesn't really look like a whole lot so far. But now we're going to do the same thing. My glue, this is my smaller piece. My glue is on this side. I have the Seal Plus all along these two edges. So again, I'm going to basically center the box in my piece of paper. Obviously, I'm doing that just by eyeballing it. I'm not measuring anything. And once that is lined up where I want it, I can fold this end around. When I fold this and press down, I'm making sure that my edge of my designer paper is also along the edge of the bottom of the tote. And then once I have that in place, I can secure this in place. Other end, we'll wrap this end around. Give it a good press down at the bottom, and then you can see this isn't all stuck together yet. Once I'm ready, I can run my fingers along the inside and my thumb along the outside and press those together. Okay, so here is the base of our tote bag. Next, we want to attach the cardstock around the top. This makes for a really nice reinforcement to make it stronger, and it also just looks nice to give it some contrast. On these, I am again using my Seal Plus at the ends, and I am running it the width of the strip. I don't just want one little spot of it. I want it to be the entire width. Now up here, it ran over the edge a little bit, so I'll just fold that back so it doesn't stick out. And then I'm going to put glue on these the same way I did at the bottom of the designer paper pieces. 2 strips. You can absolutely play around with the adhesives on this and see if you come up with something that works better. I tried to use tape on these strips, and what I found was not surprising. I needed to have some wiggle room for everything to work, so that's why I started using the glue again. Okay, so I'm on one of the sides. This is the top. Down here is the bottom. I am going to lay this on here. Again, I'm eyeballing just to line up the center of my cardstock with the center of the purse. Line it up right there with the top of the designer paper. Wrap it around, and when we get over here to the side, just give it a nice good press so that that Seal Plus will adhere to that designer paper. And then same thing over here on this end. So this was the longer piece. This one wraps a little bit more than halfway around. Now I'll grab my shorter piece, and this one should wrap basically to the center of each side. So line this up with the top. Make any adjustments I need to. If you want to, you can pull this cardstock strip so that it's just a touch higher than the designer paper. That way you don't have that little edge showing from your paper. Okay, so that is in place. And the last thing we have to do is to attach the handles. For this, we will need a Stampin' Pierce mat, and this isn't in our catalog right now, but it is super handy. I don't think it's in the catalog. I think it's only online, but it's a really handy product. I'll link to all the products I'm using in the description below. And what I'm going to do, which will be hard for you to see, I am going to measure about, I have a piece of cardstock that's about 3.5 inches wide. I am going to lay this inside, and I'm going to poke a hole about at the edge of each of these and about 1/2 inch down, because I want my holes to be right about in the middle of this strip. Okay, so I'm just centering this. It's 3.5 inches wide, and I'm going to poke a hole on each edge through there, just like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. And I poked a little hard. Those are bigger holes than I had been doing, so hopefully my brads stay in as long as I use larger size brads. Now I also need to poke some holes into my handle. So with this, I am going to make a hole about 1/2 inch from the bottom and about 1/2 inch from each side on each of those. Same thing on each of these. So we need a few brads for this. I'm using some of our round and square brads. I really like these because they come in black and white in 2 different shapes. So my favorites are these little square ones. We'll use some of the white ones since that coordinates with this. And we will go through the outside of the bag first. And then to attach the handle, you want to have it with the print that matches the outside facing out. So that other print will be on the back side. There at the bottom at least is where you'll see it. Put that through, open up the ends of your brad, and that will hold it nicely in place. Now, I mentioned a little bit ago I was going to talk about this Pattern Party Designer paper, and I haven't done that yet, have I? So this is a paper you may not have noticed if you pay attention to Stampin' Up! Products. It may be one that you missed. It is actually a host exclusive product, and it is a paper pack. It has all these fun prints, and it's huge. You get, I think you get 48 pieces with it. It's a really big paper pack, and because it's a host exclusive, you can only get it if you are hosting or if you place an order that is $150 or larger. So I mention that because for some of you who place larger orders, when you place those larger orders and you get some host credit, make sure you look at the host exclusive items because that's the only time you can get those items. We do have some host exclusive stamp sets, but this paper pack is my absolute favorite right now. I've been using these prints all the time on all kinds of projects. And if you would like to host, I can do Facebook parties. I can help you organize a kit event to invite a few friends over to your house sometime. There's a lot of different ways to earn rewards, and I would be happy to help you with that. So look at this. Isn't this adorable? Now the very last step is to add our tag. I created this one. It says you are perfectly unique. And I created it with the In Symmetry stamp set. I love the really unique flowers on this set. And I have to mention, this is my favorite new die set. I just got this die set about a week ago. It's called Tailor Made Tags, and this is what it looks like. Now, the reason I love this so much is I love cute tags on things, but I don't always want to take the time to die cut a tag one at a time. With this set, I can die cut 8 tags at a time, and they punch the holes right as I'm running them through. So definitely a die set to take a look at sometime if you like to make tags. So we will add this tag, and that will wrap it up. So thanks so much for watching along today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions for me, please let me know. Like I said, links to the products are in the description below. You can also find lots of inspiration on my website, scrappingstampingandstuff.com, if you want to go there and browse around. But thanks so much for joining in. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope to see you back again next time when I will be here helping you to hand make with love.